Just enough. I'm Bob Safran. I'm the editor of Fast Company, and this is Kevin Johnson, who is the CEO of Starbucks. Thank you for joining us.
No, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
That was a fun video. Thank you for sharing that with us also. And I hope we can get to some of the things that were on there. Fast Company did a story about Starbucks, some of your community initiatives earlier this year, which was one of my favorite stories that we did about the things that you're doing in underserved communities like Ferguson and military families. And we'll get to some of those things, so I appreciate that. I want to start by, first of all, congratulating you. You've been the CEO for just 6 months, relatively new to this job. A new job is always a good thing to congratulate on.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
You've been a CEO before, right? 5+ years at Juniper Networks in the tech business. So I want to start by asking you, so how is being CEO at Starbucks similar to having been CEO somewhere else, and how's it different?
Well, certainly, in a large global company like Starbucks or a global company like Juniper, there's many things you have to do to sort of operate the company. But I'd say the biggest difference has to do with a consumer brand, and a consumer brand that is really anchored on human connection. Starbucks is a company that started in 1971 with 1 store. Here we are 47 years later with 27,000 stores in 75 countries around the world. And we have been true to our values, the values and the culture that are grounded in a unique mission, a mission statement to inspire and nurture the human spirit, one person, one cup, one community at a time. And I think that is the biggest difference. It's about the heart. It's about human connection.
So is this, your previous experience was in the technology world?
32 years.
32 years. So is that, I don't want to say that that's not valuable experience, but what about technology companies is different? What applies? There's things that oh, it should work like this.
Here's the big similarity. Innovation. I mean, look, you take today, the entire retail industry is going through a massive disruption. Massive. In fact, I think they reported today that there have been more brick-and-mortar stores closed in the U.S. this year than in any other prior year, even more than during the Great Recession in 2008, 2009. And so you look at that and you say, well, what's going on here? Well, there is a shift in consumer behavior, a shift towards more e-commerce, buying things online. And so that means if you're a brick-and-mortar retailer, there are 2 fundamental tenets that we believe you must embrace. One is you must innovate around things that create experiential retail. You must elevate the experience for the customer such that you become a destination they seek out. And then you must complement that experience in a brick-and-mortar store by extending it to a digital mobile connection with the customer. So it is the blend of experiential retail and a digital mobile connection. And that requires you to be an innovator. So tech companies have to be innovators, Starbucks has to be an innovator.
And so the experience in the store has to keep changing?
Absolutely.
Even though I like going to my Starbucks. I should expect it to change?
Well, have you had cold brew? Have you had nitro cold brew?
Right. They want to keep.
Okay, those are new.
Right.
You look at the fact here in New York City, we are building one of our Starbucks Reserve roasteries right here in Chelsea, right across the street from Chelsea Market. And you look at what we've done to elevate and create this new premium brand called Starbucks Reserve. It started with a single roastery on Capitol Hill in Seattle, a 15,000 square foot roastery. Next month, we're going to open our second roastery in Shanghai, China, that's greater than 40,000 square feet, followed by Milan, New York, Tokyo, Chicago. That's an example of innovation around a store format, an experience. And in that experience, you can experience coffees, specialty coffees, single lot, small lot varietals with a variety of brew methods, siphon, pour over. You can experience something that we've embedded in Seattle called whiskey barrel aged cold brew. We take the green coffee beans. We bought all the whiskey barrels we could find, used whiskey barrels, oak barrels, and an aged whiskey. We put green coffee in the whiskey barrels, and we age it for several weeks. Rotate the barrels.
I'm getting thirsty.
And then we roast it. And then we roast this coffee, and so and then we do a cold brew. And so you sit there drinking a whiskey barrel-aged cold brew. That's innovation.
Now, is there going to be a point where, like, are you taking to the things that you learn at the roastery? Will they be migrating to the 27,000